My name is Millie, and I'm 30 years old. I married my husband, who is 5 years older than me, 5 years ago. He works for a big company and is normally calm, patient, and kind. In our first year of marriage, we found out we were expecting our first baby, and I was very happy. But after I left my job because of pregnancy, my husband's attitude completely changed. One day, when I was really sick from pregnancy and couldn't get out of bed, I fell asleep until the afternoon. When my husband, Stephen, came home, I explained why I hadn't gotten up, but he became angry. He yelled, "What were you doing all day? You think I'm stupid? Morning sickness isn't a big deal. I'm tired after working all day, so hurry up and make dinner." From that day on, he started criticizing everything I did around the house. "Can't you even do this right? You're really stupid." He would say things like, "I don't know how you've survived. If you're this dumb, what can you even do?" If I ever tried to speak up or argue, he would curse and tell me to shut up. He didn't care about what I thought anymore. I was shocked, because my husband had changed so suddenly. At first, I thought it was just a bad day, and once the baby came, he would go back to being kind, but that didn't happen. Even after our child was born, he stayed the same. I still loved him and didn't want to believe our marriage was a mistake. Even though others would say I was being mistreated, I didn't see it that way. I thought it was my fault for not being good enough, and I was scared that he might leave me. 5 years went by, and we had 3 kids, but Stephen only gave me $500 each month for living expenses. We lived in company housing, so rent and bills were taken care of, but the money wasn't enough for food and other necessities. I started using my savings to cover the costs, but eventually, that ran out, and we struggled to get by. One evening, when I made a simple dinner because we didn't have enough money for more, he yelled, "What is this? Is this all you made for dinner? You're at home all day. Can't you cook something better?" When I told him I didn't have enough money for more ingredients, he responded angrily, "I give you money every month. It's your job to manage the house. You're just wasting my money." He didn't stop yelling. To make things worse, I found out that Stephen had been having an affair for years. At first, he kept it secret, but recently, he stopped hiding it altogether. Even though things were tough, I was still afraid Stephen would leave me. I realized that I had become completely controlled by him. Every day, I carefully watched his mood and tried to find comfort in watching my children grow. But even simple things like buying cute clothes for them were impossible because we didn't have enough money. When my mom friends invited me out for lunch or coffee, I couldn't afford to go. I didn't mind missing out on time with friends, but I felt bad for my children. Stephen would say that $500 was plenty for a housewife, but the other moms around me didn't seem to struggle. They always looked well-dressed and happy, and their children seemed happy too. I began to lose confidence and felt like it was all my fault, like I was a bad mother. One day, I made a bold decision. I talked to one of my closest mom friends about everything. She was shocked when she heard what I was going through and said, "None of this is your fault, Millie. Your husband is wrong. He's harassing you." I had never thought of it that way before. My friend told me, "You're not stupid or incompetent. You're a great mom." Her kind words gave me the courage to speak up to Stephen about needing more money. When I asked for a raise in the living expenses, he got angry. "What are you talking about? I'm giving you enough. Stop wasting my money." I explained, "The kids are getting older, and I need to buy things for them. Plus, I need money to spend time with their friends' moms." He shouted, "No way. You stay at home, take care of the kids, and do the housework. Don't talk to me like you're capable of more." The children started crying because of the yelling. I yelled back, "Shut up, you keep them quiet." Then, without even thinking, I said, "I want a divorce." I was surprised by my own words. I had never thought of divorce before. Stephen paused for a moment, shocked, but then he responded angrily, "Do you really think you can say that, you parasite?" He continued, "Fine, I'll be happy not to see your sad face anymore, but you need to give back the $500 a month I've been giving you. That's $6,000 a year, $30,000 over 5 years, and I want you to take care of the kids. Get that money ready if you want to leave." Then he left, just like he always did. I hugged my crying children, and I cried with them. The youngest was only 11 months old. I knew I couldn't afford to pay $30,000, but I also knew I needed to do something for the sake of my children. I love my children so much that I couldn't imagine being away from them, but I couldn't stand living with a terrible husband anymore. Feeling overwhelmed, I finally called my mom. After my dad passed away when I was in college, my mom had moved in with my brother and his wife, so I didn't feel like I could ask for her help. Even when things were tough, I didn't want to worry her, but when I told her everything over the phone, she was upset and started crying. She told me that my brother and his wife were also worried and that I should come to their house right away, but before that, she told me to gather evidence of Steven's affair. I started keeping track of his actions, like receipts for expensive gifts he bought for his lover and hotel records showing they stayed together. It was easy to gather evidence because he left everything lying around. My mom hired a lawyer to talk to Steven. He refused the divorce and said he wanted to keep custody of the children. I realized this would take a long time, so I decided to get ready to leave with my children and go to my brother's house. But then we learned that Steven had stomach cancer. Thankfully, it was caught early and could be treated with surgery. He went to the hospital to get treatment. Life without him at home was peaceful. I felt calm, and my children seemed happier too. Seeing them like this, I knew for sure that I needed to get a divorce. I had no regrets about leaving Steven. Even though he said his cancer was caused by the stress from my actions, I was determined to raise my children on my own and make them happy. Then, unexpectedly, Steven softened and said he was willing to divorce me. It seemed that after learning about his cancer, he realized he wanted to start over and live a different life. He felt like he had a second chance and wanted to let go of everything unnecessary, including his family. Even in this situation, it was all about him. I didn't care what he said about me, but when he said the children were unnecessary, I was shocked. Still, I knew I couldn't waste this chance to divorce him. I quickly arranged everything before he could change his mind. He didn't seem to care about the children anymore, so I had him sign a pledge saying he would never see them again. It worked out for me. Even though I wouldn't get child support, he would pay a large amount of compensation, and I was also asking for compensation for his lover. Finally, I was able to divorce him. Steven was more concerned about what people would think, so he told his colleagues and neighbors that I left him when he got sick. It frustrated me how selfish he was, but more than anything, I was happy to be free from him. I left the house where we had lived for so many years, feeling happy and free. Soon after, I heard that Steven had married the lover he had been seeing for years. She worked with him at his office. I rented an apartment near my brother's house, where I raised my children with the help of my mom, brother, and his wife. I also found a job. Life wasn't easy, but I was much happier than before. 6 months later, my mom told me that she got a call from Steven's dad, asking, "Has something happened to Steven?" I called him back and learned that Steven had gotten divorced again. Fortunately, his cancer hadn't come back, and he was doing well. He was living a peaceful life with his new wife, but it seemed like he started harassing her too after a while. She immediately left the house and divorced Steven. She also made a scene at their company, telling everyone about his behavior, which caused him to quit his job. It seems that Steven moved out of the company housing, is now paying more money to his new wife, and has no money left. He's gone back to live with his parents. He's exhausted and says he wants to see his children and try to start over with her. His father, unable to watch him like this anymore, reached out to her. She felt so angry. She was finally free, but now Steven was showing up like a ghost. He had an affair for years, married someone else, then divorced her after 6 months. It was all his fault, but instead of feeling sorry, he wanted to come back and see the children. She couldn't believe it. Who does he think he is? She thought. Who's the parasite now? She controlled her anger and told him she never wanted to see him again, then hung up the phone. A few days later, on her way home from work, she found Steven waiting for her at a park near her house. He looked pale and exhausted. At first, she didn't even recognize him. "Millie, I know now, you're the only one for me. The kids need a father, right? A lot happened, but let's start over. You must be struggling on your own. I can do the housework for a while." She couldn't believe it. "What do you mean, start over?" she snapped. "I could say that, but you don't have any right to say it. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm so much better off without you." Steven was shocked, and it was the first time she had ever talked back to him like that. She told him to leave. "I don't know how you found me, but if you keep coming near me, I'll call the police. Now go, goodbye." She left him standing there, even though she was scared and angry that he showed up out of nowhere. Seeing his face left her feeling much better. Since then, she and her children haven't seen him. The 4 of them are living peacefully and happily. She believes there's still so much more to experience in life. And she's determined to stay positive and work hard until her children grow up.